Quality education is a vital need for all. Achieving progress on this sustainable development goal requires governments, implementers and funders to scale up what's working best. Great ideas and powerful innovations exist in many places, but too often these efforts remain islands of excellence at risk of being swept away by change. You want to translate small-scale initiatives into lasting improvements with significant reach. You're thinking big. Now think it through. That's what the Education Scalability Checklist is for. This practical Excel-based tool enables you to assess how easily an initiative can be scaled up, to plan actions to improve scalability, and to follow up on progress over time. The checklist should be used throughout the life cycle of your initiative. In the early stages, it will help to avoid common design flaws. Perhaps there is no real demand for the evening literacy classes that you believe are crucial. Or maybe your professional development program for teachers would require skilled trainers that are simply not available. For initiatives that are already being implemented, the checklist can be used once a year to further adjust the design if needed, and to update operational plans and budgets to facilitate scaling. Before using the checklist, make sure you have a clear view on the characteristics of the initiative, the desirability and goals of the scaling effort, and on the roles of different stakeholders in the process. Applying the checklist is teamwork. In the early stages, the organization that developed the initiative will use the tool internally to inform design and plan the scaling process. In education, this should include a thorough reflection on how and to what extent control of implementation will be transferred to government. As a second step, a joint workshop with policymakers, implementers and funders will enable a realistic 360-degree view of the project's scalability. A well-prepared workshop takes no more than half a day. The result? An action plan for improving the initiative's scalability, based on a shared vision and shared responsibility. How does the checklist work in practice? The tool has 3 sheets for users to fill in: individual scoring, group scoring, action planning. An additional sheet for tracking progress is automatically completed. Sheet 1. Individual scoring. Users carry out a diagnostic of the initiative before the workshop. They look into 32 characteristics. Each impacts the initiative's scalability. These 32 characteristics are organized in 7 categories. How convincing is the scaling strategy? Is the initiative credible? How strong is the support for the initiative? Is it better than the status quo or alternatives? How easily can it be adopted by the existing education system? How well does it fit the system? Is there a sustainable source of funding? For each characteristic, the checklist provides a description of a situation where scaling up would be easy, and one where it would be difficult. For each characteristic, first ask yourself, what is the current situation? Describe it in factual terms. Our school leadership development model involves professional learning communities. 8 to 10 primary head teachers from the same district meet up once a month. The meetings are led by District Education Officers, or DEOs. These guide the head teachers through a learning cycle that consists of 4 steps: analysing school data, setting joint goals, implementing new leadership practices, and learning collaboratively. One learning cycle takes 3 meetings. For each meeting, the DEOs use guidelines and materials to engage the head teachers in individual and group reflection. Then, attribute a score. Our initiative seems to be well structured. That makes it easier to scale. I'll attribute an A score for this characteristic. Sheet 2. Group scoring. During the workshop, users discuss and assign a single score to each of the 32 scalability aspects. With this year's education budget cuts, head teachers can no longer afford to meet up every month. Can the meetings be done online? In that case, B. Under current conditions, it's a C. Taking the meetings online can push it back to B. Let's put a B. The head teachers are still committed to participating. We just need to adapt the model a bit. This discussion will inform the next and crucial step. Sheet 3. Scalability Action Planning. While the scoring helps to identify areas where the initiative might require adaptations before scaling, the key to success is to plan the next steps. What are the actions required to address constraints or to seize opportunities? Workshop participants will answer these questions for each area to work out the best way forward. To make sure there is real commitment, it is important that those in a position to make decisions about next steps in scaling participate in the workshop. Sheet 4. Tracking progress. Over time, the impact of actions can be tracked and built into future activities. To facilitate tracking, the checklist generates a radar chart visualizing how group scores evolve over time. As implementers, governments and funders take action to create the right conditions for scaling up. Scores are likely to improve over time. This can be a long-term process. 15 years to national deployment is not unusual. Widespread use of the Education Scalability Checklist can help us better understand scaling processes in the education sector. They will also be easier to sustain, bringing us a bit closer to quality education for all.